Welcome back to the Wizards Fireplace. Today we're going to do another do not buy video specifically on crossovers. Let's get started. So normally we would do these on the boat, but the boat has been put to sleep for the winter. It is currently resting, winterized, so today we're doing it by the fireplace. And just like I mentioned, the focus today is going to be on crossovers. It's those vehicles that are not really a car, but not really an SUV, kind of like excursions and Escalades and things. Towards the end of the video, I'll give you a recommendation for a couple that you should buy, but the next 6 vehicles are going to be ones that you should not buy under any circumstance. The first one we're going to start with is really any year of the Buick Encore. It's not really a car, but it's not an Escalade, what we think of as a big SUV either. It's a crossover. It's right in the middle. I already don't recommend a lot of its bigger cousins or brothers and sisters or whatever you want to call them in the SUV video, but this one's about crossovers. This is another one of those cars that I've had several in the shop. And every time they're brought into the shop, it's not like they're going to fix the car and get it back and enjoy the car. The scenario is always, I want to fix this car and then I'm dumping it. I want it gone. We're trading it in. I'm sick of this car. Sayonara, Buick Encore. It's the same time. It just happens over and over. One of the big things they have wrong with them is the turbos go out. The most recent one we had in the shop, the customer let us know, oh, by the way, we're on the 3rd turbo and now it's failed as well. They've been replaced at the dealership, I think under warranty. I'm not sure if it was under warranty or not, but also they have engine and transmission problems and lots of electrical or battery problems. It'll be where the battery just goes dead, just sitting there. And you easily think, oh, it just needs a new battery. You put another one in, a brand new battery, and it does the same thing the next day. They have lots of trouble with electrical issues. But not even, it's just the mechanical problems. I could say do not buy this one based on just what I've heard from customers. They're so dissatisfied, so unhappy. Like I mentioned, fix the car, we're dumping it. Do you want to be in that scenario? I don't think you do. Please don't buy those cars. The next one on a do not buy is 2004 to 2008 Chrysler Pacifica. Now I know, it's like Car Wizard, those things aren't even on the road anymore. Yes, they are. Every time we drive to town to go shopping, I at least see 2 or 3, and they're beat up pretty bad. One thing to keep in mind is if you do find one, 90% of these Chrysler Pacificas that are still on the road are at their end of life. These cars are beat on pretty hard. These are the cars that someone buys and say, I'm not going to put a lot of money into it. I'm just going to drive it to get me by from point A to point B until I can do better. This is not a keeper car. And it really shouldn't be a car that you buy either. They have major issues with the TIPM, which stands for Totally Integrated Power Module. It's basically the fuse box, but it's not just fuses in there. There's relays and computer parts and pieces inside there that control all the functions of your car. And when it goes bad, you don't just go buy a new one. You have to send it off and get it rebuilt. It's a major fiasco to get these things fixed. Another problem they have is abnormally high brake wear. I don't see a lot of these in the shop anymore. Just like I mentioned, 90% of them on the road are at the end of life by now because they've been beat on so hard. But the last ones I've had in the shop, we did brake jobs on, and the comment was, I just did brakes 30 or 40,000 miles ago. Now it's time for another set of brakes. I've tried ceramics, I've tried different brands, and it doesn't matter. These things wear out so fast. And that is a design flaw with the Chrysler Pacifica. They go through brakes really fast. I haven't seen them in a while, like I said, in the shop. The ones I did see, people weren't happy with them. They're just point A to point B. They're not a keeper car. Please don't try to find one of these and make it last. They're just not worth it. Normally people wouldn't even be looking at these cars, I think, but because of the chip shortage, which is making most dealership lots with new cars look empty. They look like a desert. there's no new cars to buy. So people are saying, well, I've got to get something, and they're trying to just get by until the new cars come out. Don't get by with the Chrysler Pacifica. You will lose every dollar that you spent on it. The next one on the list of not to buy is 2008 to 2015 Nissan Rogue. And as you can imagine, lots of trouble with CVT transmissions. These things drop like flies. And it's usually $4 to $5 grand to fix it, if not more. And the chances of you buying one of these and the transmission failing is about 60 to 70%. It's probably going to happen. I know this from experience because I've had so many of these in the shop where people say, just bought it, it lasted 3 months, and the transmission's out. And I hear the same story 3 months later. And 3 months later, I hear the same story again. It just keeps happening. Oh, Car Wizard, it doesn't happen that much. Yes, it does. I've made a lot of money off of them. I know. These also have paint or body issues. The paint actually starts to bubble. There's corrosion. And that gets very expensive very fast. And to top it all off, these things are never maintained. These things are usually purchased very similarly to the Pacifica to get to point A to point B. It's not a keeper. People don't really beat on these so hard. They're not abused. They're just ignored, neglected, if you will. You say, when's the last time you changed the oil on your Nissan Rogue? And the person says, I think it was last year. I'm not sure. I do check the oil once in a while. It's like, oh, brother. So that's what you can expect with a Nissan Rogue. The last owner did not maintain it. Make sure you, if you are buying one, make sure you check all the fluids and have it checked over with a pre-purchase inspection. I really recommend that. If you have one or any Nissan vehicle with a CVT transmission, you can watch a previous video I did on a service I did on my Nissan Cube, showing how only after 20,000 miles it already had metal flakes and dark fluid. So go ahead and check that video out. It's very interesting. And the next one is 2005 to 2009 Chevrolet Equinox. And these are not fully an SUV, but they're not really a car. They're a crossover. They're kind of in between. And although you can get these cars with a 4-cylinder, the majority of them have the junky, horrible, disastrous Chevy, or GM, I should say, 3.6 liter with timing chain issues. This engine's not just used in Chevrolets, it's in Cadillacs, Buicks, GMs. I mean, there's all kinds of different makes and models that use this engine. It is really, really bad. The timing chains go out, they actually stretch, and poor oil changes actually damages the timing components. And this is an engine out job to change out the timing components and everything. It really can't be done in the car. Very, very expensive. If you drive into the timing chain breaks, it'll destroy the engine. It's an interference engine, but most people don't make it that far because when they start acting up, they have reduced power. Their check engine light on. They run so bad that most people are like, I can't even get to work in this thing. I got to get it fixed. These also have transmission problems. I have family members who have purchased these, and then it's not much longer. It's time for a transmission rebuild. And it's really not that old. So that's also a common issue. And just like with any of these, the Equinox, the Acadia, the Encore, they all have electrical problems, dash actuators, battery problems, module problems, power window problems. Every time you turn around, you get one fixed, the next one breaks. You get that one fixed, another one breaks. And it never stops. It actually drives some of my customers insane. They're like, I just fixed this and that, and now the next thing down the line is broke. And I'm like, yeah, and there's going to be 5 more things down the line, and you can budget it and you can plan on it. It is going to happen. So I'll just mention some of the larger cousins or brothers and sisters to these models, and all the inherent problems that they have also is in the smaller vehicles in the GM lineup. So make sure you keep that in mind. Next is 2009 to 2019 Dodge Journey. And you guys knew I was going to bring that one up. You're sitting here laughing right now. Those are junk. We all know they're junk. Yeah. Well, I still have to tell people that they're junk because people are still buying them. They're still driving around. They're still on car lots for sale. I read an article recently, out of 30 Chrysler vehicles, the 28th worst one was the Dodge Journey. It is so low on the totem pole. It's almost the worst Chrysler product that you can buy on planet Earth. It's that bad. They named it the Journey. It sounds like you're going places when really the only journey you're going to be making is to the mechanic shop over and over and over again. These are another one of those cars that are literally the punching bag of the automotive community. People buy these Journeys and run them into the ground. They absolutely destroy them. So, oh, well, my brakes quit working in the rear. I just had them capped off. I just have front brakes right now. It's good enough. I'm not putting another dime in this vehicle. I'll just drive it the way it is. My engine's been knocking for 4,000 miles now. I don't have money to fix it. I'm just going to run it till this sucker dies. That's the name of the game with the Dodge Journey. If you find one on a dealer lot, you can be rest assured that probably there's some similar story to that car that you're currently looking at. So do not buy a Dodge Journey. And the last one on my list of do not buy is 2007 to 2017 Jeep Compass. Now this is kind of like a Patriot. It's on the same platform, but the Compass is geared more towards looking car-like. It's a crossover. It's in between an SUV and a car. And these have just as horrendous CVT transmissions as the Nissans do. All the same problems, all the same failures, and all the same expense. These things drop like flies. I think they're even worse than the Nissans. They fail left and right. No one ever services them. They just drive them and drive them and drive them. And then they start slipping in the transmission. They dump it and trade it in. It's on the lot for sale. Now you are looking at it to buy it. You're the next victim. It's going to be very expensive to replace the transmission, probably $4 or $5 grand. These transmissions are used in a lot of other Chrysler vehicles, but the Compass I'm really focusing on because it is a crossover. These vehicles are very poorly made, not just the transmission, but the interior materials, the paint, the suspension, everything is the cheapest of the cheapest, bottom of the barrel. The engines are also not very well refined. They're not very well engineered. They're very harsh. They're very loud. Many people comment that they try to go to pass someone on the highway and it sounds like the engine's going to fly apart. They don't fly apart, but it's just that poorly made. It seems like they're very unbalanced. They just kind of slapped it together. It runs, it drives, it works, but it is really not that great of an engine, and it actually sounds like it's not that great of an engine. And I've seen several of these in the shop. People actually bring them to me, and if it's under $1 grand, usually people will fix it and they'll keep the vehicle because they do like them. They're interesting looking vehicles. But usually when the price creeps up above that, they're like, nah, I'm dumping it. And then it's on the lot for sale, and now you're shopping for it. So make sure to keep an eye out. There's so many vehicles out there you can be buying other than a Jeep Compass. Don't buy one of those. I promise you 2 that you should buy. The first one is 2001 to 2007 Toyota Highlander. These are like a car that's 4-wheel drive. It's not necessarily an SUV either. It's kind of in between. It's a crossover. It's actually such a good car, I recommended it to my dad, and he bought one. He drives it around as we speak. It's a very, very nice vehicle. He's very happy with his purchase. It's been very reliable. These are great on gas. They don't burn through gas like an Escalade or something. He brings it to me for services, and that's really the only thing I've had to do to it is basic services. Timing belt, water pump, oil changes, things of that nature. We haven't had to fix anything broken, really. They're really a great, great car. And it's because, like I've mentioned before, it's a Toyota. They're built to last. They're built very well. The thing about them is they don't do anything super, super good. They do everything really well, and they last a long time. Now keep in mind, you're probably going to pay a little more. If you're looking at a Dodge Journey and a Jeep Compass, which you shouldn't buy, you're going to find that they cost half or less than a Highlander. But you will spend that much more and then some buying the Journey or the Compass. And you will be asking yourself, why didn't I just buy the Highlander? I would be money ahead right now and my car would not be in the shop. So keep that in mind. And the next one I'm going to recommend, which is the last one, is 2003 to 2008 Pontiac Vibe. Now I know you're going to say, Car Wizard, that's a GM vehicle. No, it's not. Underneath the clothes, underneath the body, is a Toyota Matrix. It's basically a Toyota engine, Toyota transmission, Toyota suspension. In fact, if you go looking around in the vehicle, put it on a lift, a lot of the parts have Toyota stamped right on them. It's basically a Toyota, but you might get it a little cheaper than a Toyota because it's a Pontiac. They have decent styling, they have really good gas mileage, and they have Toyota level of dependability. I'm really pushing that one, recommending that one, because when they're on the car lot, it's harder to sell a Pontiac for a Toyota price, but you're getting a Toyota. That would be the one I would really recommend to you to look for as far as a small to medium crossover. So hopefully with all of these I just listed of the ones not to buy, you please do not buy them. You really should take heed to the information I give you, because I have seen customers over the years in shambles over these cars being broken. I'm trying to prevent and help you guys from being in that same situation. Also, with the two that I recommended that you should buy, you could buy those with confidence as long as they've been maintained properly. But you may pay a little bit more for the Toyota, not so much for the Pontiac. They will both be a very good choice. So I could be losing a little bit of money as far as telling people not to buy these. Now they're going to not bring them to me to fix. But really, I don't enjoy working on the ones I just listed not to buy anyways, because it usually breaks people's banks for a car that doesn't even worth what they're spending on the repairs. It's not a win situation. Anytime I have a Dodge Journey or something come into the shop and it's thousands of dollars repair, I just say, look, I know I could make money in this situation, but really you don't need to fix this car. You need to get rid of it. And don't buy another one similar to this. So as always, I'm hoping to help you guys out. This information is for you guys to save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of lost money. As far as in the shop, the things we got going on in the shop, if you're curious what kind of tools we use out there, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut. And make sure to hit the subscribe button, because we have many more do not buys to come and many more projects. Thanks for watching.